Good morning, everyone. I'm Brian Alvara, CEO of XMO Systems. We provide technology solutions that designed to streamline decision-making and integrate artificial intelligence, data analytics, security infrastructure, and management solutions to help optimize and improve productivity and solve issues before they become problems. In a nutshell. Right. A little bit of my background, most of my life, technologist, Navy, career. I served as the technical lead for the Unmanned Systems and Space Naval Warfare System Command, then at the Naval Information Warfare Center. I was in charge of reverse engineering and developing algorithms to ensure our robotics and our other assets accomplish human-level tasking without the collateral damage normally associated with military missions. My specialty was to design scripts that enable automation for repetitive tasks and solve issues through computational predictability. Today, we call that AI. But that's kind of my background. There's a lot of information I like to share. It's a short period of time, but I know we're scheduled for an hour. But if we go over, I hope that's okay. I'm happy to be here. I carved out a little bit more time to answer any questions you guys might have. And I like this to be more interactive. So as I'm going through the slides and presenting, feel free to ask questions. I'll stop and check. If there are a lot of more questions, somebody please raise a flag or tell me, hey, speak up and just mention that, hey, there's a question you probably should answer right now. I don't consider myself an expert. I'm just a little bit more further down the road. I've been doing this for a very, very long time. AI and programming is my background. While other naval officers would go golfing or whittle clocks on their weekends, I would program and I would hack and I would make a little bit extra money finding vulnerabilities in like Google or Amazon. And they actually pay you if you find their vulnerabilities and let them know. So it's kind of a side hustle. So that's kind of where I'm coming from and where the slides will be presented in that manner. A little bit of the agenda, my intro, technology timeline, glimpse of a possible future of what we can expect with different AI technologies. I'm going to share a lot of my tools that I use because there's a lot of information out there. Prompt engineering, a little bit of information about that, and then other uses beyond the generative AI, the pretty pictures and videos. There's other aspects to AI, and I want to share that with you so that way, and the tools that I use, so that way maybe perhaps it can be implemented where you guys are. The rules and the technology change constantly. Historically, certain set of tools that gets you 90% of the way, but now it's not just about the tools, it's about the state of mind that you have and the continual learning process, because it's going to move fast. I'm sure a lot of you are on GPTs, chats, GPTs, or what any of these other various aspects of AI that you're using today. I'm going to go through it and then let you know where we stand. Unfortunately, a single webinar won't make us all experts, but I want to gear this briefing towards showing you simple steps and using websites, applications, and tools that I use and kind of get you from where you likely are to somewhere where you can start integrating this in most of your business processes or in your life, really. There's a lot of tools and technology out there. The goal is to get you familiar and ensure that how easy this can actually be and just get you off zero, right? Some of you might be starting, some of you might have a little bit more knowledge, but if we all gather the tools and start implementing it, it becomes a lot more easier. And this is why it's confusing. This is what my job was before retiring from the Navy. Generally speaking, I was in charge of the capability to take several of these branches and develop them into practical applications so sailors and Marines can use them in the field without hurting themselves or equipment, right? So, I mean, you have computer vision, knowledge management, hybrid, decision-making, gosh, you name it, there's some version of AI. When you look at like Sora or ChatGPT, DALL-E, Stable Diffusion, those are a single branch of this. And it's only a small portion of what AI can actually do. Combine them, and now you have a ton of different companies that have all these different flavors, um, anywhere from Q learning, predictive analytics, and the most visible today, of course, being generative AI, which is going to be the most visual and what makes people feel the wow factor, right? Because it's growing fast. It took only 2 months to get 100 million users to get to where a lot of these big companies that you think that they're the giants in the industry, it took like Apple 14 years to get 100 million users. I mean, Google a year, right? ChatGPT, when it came out, 2 months. So everybody's using it. I imagine you all have it on your phone or computer. You've used it at some point. I'll go in talking about how the prompt engineering make this faster, make it more easier for you. I want to start with where we are and kind of give us a reference point.
Oh, that's
that little
right.
mark with the A and then the ring around it.
At.
See, that's what I said. Katie said she thought it was about.
Yeah. Oh.
But I'd never heard
Or
it.
around
I'd never
or
heard it
about-
said. I'd always seen the
Right.
mark, but never heard
Yeah.
it said. And then
Yeah.
it sounded stupid when I said it. Violence at NBC.
Lunchroom the other
See,
week.
there it is. Violence at NBC. GE.com. I mean,
Well, Allison should know.
what
do you
is
say to that,
internet
Allison?
anyway?
Internet is that
Massive computer
right,
network.
the one that's becoming really big now.
What do you mean? That's big. How does one? What do you write to it like mail?
No, a lot of people use it and communicate. I guess they can communicate with NBC writers and producers. Allison, can you explain what internet is?
Yeah, so that was 30 years ago. And at the time, nobody knew what that is, right? And maybe it's kind of explain what internet was. Well, now today it's, kids are born digital natives and a lot smarter and faster than we are. But once upon a time, that's kind of how it is, and we are in that same general area now with internet, with AI. We're beginning to understand what exactly is this thing, how is it going to affect my life. So just the reference point. And there's a lot of people saying things about, oh, that's dumb or whatever it is, but I assure you this genie is not going back in the bottle. And there have been other people that have naysayed about the internet itself. And this is in the year 2000s, right? But you can't make fun of people because at one point this was the state of the art of technology, right? As time progressed, we get faster, smaller, more efficient. All this data fits in that tiny little SIM card, right? Everything in this picture fits in your pocket, including the human intelligence today, right? At one point, we needed all that equipment. Now it's you hold it in your hand. Look at how silly they look, right? This is how we get our information today. They're looking down, holding their communicator in their hand. The kids are going to, in 30 years, they're going to laugh at us about this. This is what we were doing today, right? Eventually, we're going to have a lot more technology that's going to put the technology in our face, make it more streamlined. There's a project going on that puts it in contact lenses. So a lot of the information that we're doing, we're going to start communicating this way through computational analysis, through generative AI systems, through a bunch of those different branches, right? You're going to walk down the street. You're going to have every bit of information at your fingertips. All you got to do is ask. And we're going to land on something equivalent to Jarvis, right? It's a kind of compute being where it's our mechanical Jiminy Cricket, if you will, and ask it anything, do anything, whatever it is at your fingertips. So imagine what different businesses and how life is going to be when this comes into play. We are a lot further down the road than we think, but I believe that through the back-end programming and through natural language processing, which I'll get into a little bit later, will change our lives. And we have to ensure that we do this correctly, or it can go terribly, terribly wrong. Terminator, anybody? A lot of this stuff is developed through our collective, right? And it's all collated and compiled into a database. And then I usually get these things and I kind of save them for myself. But as in this slide here, like we're collecting data and then I put it into my folders and then I spit it out whenever I need it. Same thing too. But I want to let everybody know that when you use these GPTs or any of these solutions, you too become a node that it trains on. So I'll show you how to anonymize yourself a little bit later. So I write my own programs, but the creative side of visual effects is not my strong suit. So I use like tools to help me to get pretty close to what I need. Why invent the wheel, right? Most programmers reference libraries, and we don't program the whole thing, but this is what I use on my programming efforts. And perhaps it'll be useful somewhere along your journey. Let me start by saying, and I know this is a lot of people might disagree with this one, but don't buy any subscriptions. I always, unless the AI solution is constantly being used or actively monitored, don't pay a nickel. I know this would be counterintuitive to cost indexing or budgets or business spend, but the technology is changing so rapidly that there's likely to be a better version in 2 months. So don't get locked into anything. Use the freemium versions first, and then if you must pay, use the single use or monthly contract type stuff. At the moment, in a few years, there'll be some clear winners, but for now, it's too early for that. Classes and guides. So great reference book. Like any practitioner, you go and take courses to up your knowledge. Cheryl Goodman offers a great course. There's a lot of stuff that I reference here in this presentation because I'm not going to gatekeep the information. I'm going to share it wherever I can. I recommend getting this book. It comes out later this year. I had a chance to take her AI course, and it was great. It kind of it let me know, and I know what I'm doing. It's kind of like, oh, I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. So always good idea to kind of take a course real quick, go YouTube University or wherever it is to figure stuff out real quick. Pinterest, of all places, they have a lot of prompts that people like to share. I go there sometimes to find very niche prompting. AI Fire, I'm going to go here real quick. It's a newsletter, but it gives you all kinds of information in your email inbox. Once a week, it kind of shoots out stuff. Stock pricing, what kind of companies you might want to invest in, new highlights today in AI, right? So Intel, 30 million people. Intel is going to train 30 million people in AI by 2030. Microsoft aims to do that for underserved communities, which is important because normally underserved communities such as Latinos or whoever it is are usually left behind in this kind of space. So this is a good one to keep a watch out for. But I mean, prompting, how to do faceless stuff. If you want a AI girlfriend, you know, it's up to you. M1 Project, who your customers are, where to find them. So these little tools and tricks. I'm also a programmer, so Hacker Noon. I get scripting and things like that to make hacks and stuff like that for software programs. The right tool for whatever it is that you're doing. GPTs. All right, so there's a lot of them out there. Right, everybody's heard of the ChatGPT. 3.5 is the free one. That's the workhorse. Its data is only good up until 2022. All right, if you get ChatGPT 4, it has up-to-date information. What I like is Perplexity, and I'm going to sing this one because as you go through the process of requesting whatever information you're doing for your GPT, it gives you additional resources and it references where it got them from. Ask anything, kangaroos and wallabies. So it gives you the sources of where it's pulling its information. So in addition to just giving you the answer and kind of says, oh, these are the things, it actually references the actual websites or the information where it got it from. So you can fact check it. That's Perplexity. But there are a ton others. Right, Google Gemini, they're going to start doing a lot of stuff that's like Sora based. Copilot, it's automatically in the search engine. But these are my tools, right? If I want to get whatever it is I need, I usually reference one of these features here. AI World Tools. These first three are databases for the actual tool. Future tools. Type in what you want. Here we go. Image to video, or I don't know. Let's go coding. it tells you which ones they are, and it gives you all these. So Claude, and just pick one, and it'll tell you if it's free, productivity, and then you can go to their terminal and do their thing. Right. Same thing with this one. If you want AI world tools, texts, images, business, other things, audio, coding, e-commerce, click on that one. And it gives you all the different AI tools that you can possibly find. I mean, flavors of any sort. Let's go to that one, whatever that one is. Tells you it's a free trial model. So that I'm sure you got to pay for it later. These are the same. So 10Web, create videos with images, Luma Labs, 3D objects. Some of you have storefronts if you want to put 3D visuals on your website. Luma Labs does that real fast with your iPhone. Runway, if you already have imagery, you don't want to reinvent the wheel. You want your imagery to move. Runway. And Publisher, once you're done with making all your cool videos and images, what do you do with it? It's going to keep it on your website. This allows you to bring your website to the people. And I'll give you kind of an example of all these things. So this is Luma Labs, right? Scan it with your phone. It scans everything. You can get pretty good detail on storefronts or objects or products. Pretty easy to use. So this one, we worked with LucasArts and doing a thing for their Mandalorian toys. And so their packaging now moves, right? So now it's interactive. This is the Publisher. This is where you can create imagery and videos on any physical image anywhere in the world from the comfort of your mobile device. Selecting an image, you take a picture of it, or if you already have it on your Dropbox or camera roll, add the video. Create a button. If you want interactivity, you want somebody to go to your website after, and voila!
I like munching. I like crunching. We like eating cheeses.
Great cheese taste in every bite.
We like eating cheeses.
So you can advertise to people on their shelves, on their walls.
How come the best tasting things keep coming from Sunshine?
And then redirect them to a website or a calendar or whatever it is, whatever project you want them to do. That one's like super simple. Sora, this is video. Not all this is fake. This is all AI. This is not real. This is not a real location. This is a prompt saying, hey, send me, create a video of a New Year's parade, busy street in China, and boom, gives you this. So you can see what our world is going to be in the future. But it all matters of prompts, right? Prompt engineering. I'm going to go through this. I'm going to go through this part really fast. Your prompt is the actual technology or of what you're going to use to make this happen, right? And believe it or not, you've all programmed before because you've all had a website. You've all typed in code in the website, a www dot whatever it is dot whatever that is, right? All that is coding, right? It's just natural language processing. Now with natural language processing getting better, you can actually just speak it into existence, right? You can have voice to text, voice to prompting, and this is what's going to be in the future. So instead of typing all this code type stuff, you're going to just do prompting. And coding, I believe, is going to go the way of handwriting, right? It's going to get retired. We're not going to really do it. All the base code is going to be done. I hardly use base code anymore. I have my set, and I can pretty much do whatever I want because my stack is done. My framework's already pretty done. And so you don't need to do that anymore. Just prompt. So planning what you're doing. So I'm going to go through this section pretty fast. Before I move on, any questions? Am I going too fast? Am I going too slow?
No, there's a couple questions in the chat. Earlier this week, we saw a lot of, I guess it's comment, we saw a lot of AI tools for marketing. Which of these tools do you advise for business development for a service company? There's so many tools, it's bewildering.
Yeah. And so it all depends on what it is that you want to do. Because for me, I I use for if it's video or anything like that, I use like the 10 web. It's super simple. If I want to market to them in their location, I use Publisher. Once I'm done with the videos, I can say, okay, you own the box. Here, let me show you what else there is. And they can see new products on things that they've already purchased. So it all depends on how what your marketing strategy is. There's a lot of tools out there. Find one and work with that one. There's no need to like say, oh, this one for that, this one for that. It's going to take a lot of different tools. It's not just one size fits all and one tool does everything. You're going to start with the GPT to make your copy, right? And then you're going to do DALL-E or Stable Diffusion or one of these other ones to make your imagery. And then if you want it to move, you're going to use another version. Then if you want to push it on a website, you just go to your regular website and do your thing and upload it. Or if you want it to push out into the real world, you use an AR filter, Publisher and other events like that. So it really depends. There is no one answer. There's no like, here's the AI in a box. Not yet anyway, but they're running towards that with the major players.
Mhm.
That's why OpenAI has all these different versions. So OpenAI is ChatGPT, DALL-E, and a whole bunch of other things. Sora, because they want to be AI in a box. And
So the next question is, if you put your website on the box, do you have to worry about copyrights?
no, because there's no, you're not physically harming the product itself. Now, I know that they can come at you if you're saying something that doesn't, what is it called? When you say something bad about somebody and they kind of like, oh, you're suing you for defamation or whatever, stuff like that. But the thing about AI and AR and things with Publisher, it's Web3. It's a different version. So it's kind of a peer-to-peer type of scenario. Right now we have Web2 and you got to go through an internet service provider and it goes through filters and you can get it on one country and not another, kind of like VPNing. A Web3 goes peer-to-peer, so it goes node to node and you only need the ISP IP packet to send the information. You don't actually go through any of the filters. So you're not actually damaging anybody, and the people requesting information you're marketing to are your customers or potential customers, and you get directly to them without its intermediary, if you will. So unless your claims are lascivious, right, and you're saying, you know, things that are clearly untrue, you could get sued by customers or you know, I imagine competition's going to hate it because they'll be like, oh, well, they're getting to my customers before me.
Yeah. So the next question, does AI offer any qualitative or quantitative metrics or data about this group that helps you access us?
There's different metadata analytics on the back end, depending on what you're using. So the type of tool that you use, depending on what it is. So a lot of these ChatGPTs and stuff, these are just generative, right? They're just giving you an answer that you copy and paste or download and save. The other systems on the back end, and I'll talk about that later, they enable all that data analytics stuff. They enable you to kind of look at what are my markets and what are my scenarios and which ones do I need to focus on more than others, and what are my potential problem issues, and that it should happen real time. But that's kind of a back end thing that most people are not really paying attention to at the moment. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the important one. Heck, well, I can skip this section and kind of go through that part if that's what we want to do. So I'm going to run through this real quick to kind of just get through it so that we're not stagnant on this section here. Prompt engineering, preps, prompts, polish, right? Depending on what prompting you have and what you want to do, you're going to want to create a role. With your data analytics and stuff like that, you want to say, I am a data analytics expert. I have X scenario and I'm doing Y. Tell me the different reasons why I should do Z. And it'll give you those things. So when you create a persona, you want to include that aspect of, please include any analytics that you see in the market today, reference any materials or websites to generate your answer. And that's going to give you stuff from the outside looking in. If you want stuff from the inside looking out, that's a solution that you would have to install on your server if you have that kind of thing, or put it on your through a cloud service. And I can talk your ear off about this stuff. That's kind of how you would do that kind of thing with finding market segments and going more deep diving into what your what your campaigns want to be. You're going to have all these, again, you're going to have all these prompting. Here's a portion here where you're summarizing your data. You can upload your data into these GPTs and it'll give you your own scenario, right? So spreadsheets, whatever your information that you're gathering for your own companies, as long as you put in the data that makes sense to you and prompt it correctly, it's going to give you a pretty accurate. I wouldn't totally trust it because there's a lot of hallucinations going on particularly with new inference of models and data because it has nothing else to reference it from. The way GPTs work is that it references a collective of data and then spits out the information. If you upload your own data, it's going to infer information based on your information and what it can kind of tell what exists in the real world. So, or whatever level and accuracy and up-to-date information it currently drew its information from. But it gets pretty close. Project proposals, templating. So if you're constantly doing analytics for yourself, create a template, right? And then say that in a Word doc or whatever, and then you can input your own information and just drag and drop it, right? And you can copy this. These are the prompts that I use when I do my templates. And then this is Jira tickets. This is kind of a government thing. I kind of put this in there in case people do government work or put Jira tickets, but you don't need this part. Delimiters. So here's a helpful reference, because when you're doing templating or you're doing your own analytics for your own companies, you want to sequester each particular block of information so that way you only update particular sections of that data. And these hashtags or slashes tell the computer in its own language to do that. So like you say, okay, I want, these are the steps that I want to create. Do this, but with this information, and it'll constantly repeat these things and only affect the parts you ask it to. So when you say, okay, context, objective, output confirmation, if you're doing some kind of prompting where you need additional information just for updating your output, you can tell the GPT to just reference my output section and update this part. And it gives it a much more cleaner look, and it won't affect the output of updating your context or objective or other aspects of it. Because whenever you say, oh, it didn't sound good enough, or it didn't feel just right, is because you're not separating your output or your input parameters of your context objectives and things like that. So copy and paste this if you need to. And then change it for whatever you need to do. Also, people forget to request information from your GPTs. Like, ask it, hey, what other things am I not thinking about? Please think about the possibility of copyright infringement in your answer, right? Like those things, ask it to do it. A lot of people forget to do that, and you're not getting a thorough result at the end. And you're kind of like questioning, oh, should I not do this? And then if you use like Perplexity, it'll give you reference data of maybe like any laws that have come to pass, or any other information that you can decide to go forward with whatever you got out into the real world. Anonymizing yourself. All right. So as you're putting your data out there and saying, oh, I have my quarter earnings were this, quarter earnings were that, or whatever information, you are a node when you are putting information into a GPT. It's learning from you and giving it to the collective as it's collecting everything from everybody else and giving it to you. So if you have any sensitive data or anything that you do not want shared, anonymize yourself. There's a couple of ways to do it, is to just remove certain elements, certain names, certain parts of it, and restructure your prompt without your classified data, for lack of a better term. There's also parts in the GPTs that allow you to not use your input as part of the training model to let GPTs use your information. So they started adding this as the actors and writers were being referenced of their information to make new shows, new movies, and new visual entertainment. And they were basically referencing everybody's data on the internet. If you had Google's references everything you ever written in an email, ever, from everybody that ever had a Gmail account. All your hard drives, all your stuff like that, they reference that. Microsoft, same thing. All these folks are using your data to create these new predictable models that enable you to get an answer that you want. So anonymize yourself if you don't want none of this shared. Kind of a couple of examples there. But here we go. So the what else? This is the important part. Pictures and videos are pretty and are nice and they're ooh and ah, but the back end is where you really want to pay attention. A quick, hang on, let me see if there's any questions at the moment. If I move on.
Oh, we do have a couple questions. Hold
Okay.
on. I was thinking about putting your brand or website on a Wheaties box, or is this an example of Cheez-It box? On TV, name brand products are blurred out for this copyright, which is correct, right?
Yeah, if you're selling it. So if you're selling it, yeah, you got to blur out or change the name. If you're just referencing it, it's commons. It's public domain. So there's a delineation there. If you're trying to profit off the Cheez-It brand or Wheaties brand name, selling a product with their trademarks on it, that's illegal, and you can get in trouble for that and sued.
Sure.
If you're just promoting things and saying, hey, they're referencing this data for XYZ and not selling the product with their name on it, it's commons. So
Yeah. The next question is, for example, if I use ChatGPT to help me generate a new pitch for my company, how do I make sure I'm not stepping on the toes of someone else who has the same pitch?
yeah, well, you will step on the toes, and actually your pitch is designed to step on other. Don't be afraid to step on other people's toes. Like when you create a pitch for a company, or pitch, a lot of the responses is different. Even if you do it again, the same prompt, you're going to get a different result, because it's not giving you exactly the same thing each time. It kind of gives you marginally the same. And it doesn't matter if you're doing a pitch for 3 different cereal companies, they're all going to have something different a little bit, even if they're all using ChatGPT 3.5. How do you differentiate yourself from your product, and then kind of emphasize that? For me, you want to step on people's toes. That's how you get new business, right? That's how you that's how you tell people that you're a competitor, right?
Yeah. I know that when you put things, for example, in Gemini, you give it information and it'll give you a few options, but I still go in and customize it because I need to humanize whatever whatever information I'm providing. I use it as kind of a basis and then embellish on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then create a persona, right? So I am a 45-year-old golfer who eats granola every 3 days. Tell me how I would be marketed to. I don't know, like using XYZ, like give it a persona and give it a scenario, and then ask it, and let me know if there's anything that I'm not thinking about when offering this cereal or whatever it is. And so all responses are going to be markedly different, but I would imagine that it would be okay to come up with something similar, as long as your product itself is differentiated. If you have a product that's superior, who cares about stepping on other people's toes? right?
Yeah.
Like they, like you want to step on, I want to step on your foot, you know?
Yeah, and that kind of answers the next question. I prepare community health need assessments using statistics as well as demographics on specific places. How could I use AI to produce the health
Has this statistic and demographics, yeah.
statistics?
So this one I would go to Perplexity. Perplexity will give you this kind of stuff, and it'll actually reference that data of where it got the information from, because this is kind of, you kind of have a morbidity and mortality statistics in there, and it'll tell you and reference what sections it got it from, or what sites or what books or information.
Okay.
So
Yeah, the next question, can you explain an LLM is and how AI tools like ChatGPT uses them?
yeah, so an LLM is large language model, and what that does is it takes all the information that it's given, puts it into a box that says train it for predictability. So like autocorrect, it's only predicting the next word, but it does it, it's trained a bajillion times, right? That it comes up pretty accurately what the next word is going to be. And it's put into a transformer. The transformer lets it makes heads or tails of if this information is actually like true. And then it shoots out an answer, right? So an LLM, ChatGPT is an LLM, right? And so let's see, it's all based on information in, it predicts what the next word should be, and then it shoots out an answer, kind of in a nutshell. It doesn't actually dictate or kind of or learn through nuance the way humans learn. It's basically a very, very, very powerful and fast autocorrect. And that's what an LLM is, or a chat GPT is. So with texting, that's what you're going to get. With visuals, it's a little bit different. It kind of amalgamates the imagery and tells it what to do based on your inputs. Let me see, I think there was another use of offshore RPO companies in the US. Recruitment process outshoring. Okay, for sure, they're going to impact that. They're going to impact everything. You no longer need to have somebody on board. I know so a lot of the technical, and that's why the tech companies laying off a lot of their staff is because they've developed a set base of their code. They no longer need those employees to run that code anymore. It's based. And now they only need the people to offshoot it, right, and do other things with it. And so you now no longer need 1,300 employees. Google can just say, okay, you got this division's gone. You can retrain you to do something else, but you're gone. Meta, I mean, you name it. There was a culling like the last few months of all these tech companies because AI just took right over, and you no longer need to be onshore. You could be offshore, particularly with cloud service systems. And a lot of people are going to be transitioning to a different position in that company or a new company. When one uses AI, does it track who you are and what requested location? Yes, absolutely. It tracks who you are when you sign up, when you put all your information in. It knows where you are, it knows your IP address, it knows what you're saying. That's why when you anonymize yourself, it tells the GPT to not track you in certain aspects. So particularly with sensitive information, if you have just regular information, it's just going to learn. It's fine. But if you have much more sensitive information that you don't want sharing with general public, I would anonymize that prompt. Do you prefer Bard, Gemini, GPT, OpenAI? So yeah, so right now, OpenAI is the one that's out that everybody can use. So I'm using that one mostly. I kind of like how they're coming out with their new versions. Gemini and Copilot are also available, but those are they're gonna cost you. A lot of this process, it's free for us, but each chip costs anywhere between $10,000 to $40,000, right? So that's why Nvidia just shot up from $200 a share to almost $1,000 a share. Side note, Meta just paid $150 million to buy the first round, and they're going to pay another $350 million for the next round. Microsoft got upset about this and wants to, so they're starting a new version of the chipset. It's the H100, and there's another one. I think it's called the RB 2000 or something. I forget what it is, but our graphics cards are going to be stagnant for the next 2 years because all the chips that got bought are done till the year 2025, to the end of 2025, are bought, all bought and paid for by these big companies. So if you're trying to buy a new computer, you're not going to get a new chipset until 2026 at the earliest. Next steps, do you recommend learning more about AI beyond tools mentioned? AI Fire is a web newsletter that I get in my email, and I kind of read through it in the mornings before, starting the day or whatever. It kind of gives you information on what's going on, what kind of new tools to try, what they do, little tricks, little tools. And there's a whole bunch of different versions, but I like that one in particular because it's plain English. It's super simple, and I don't have, in the morning, I hate to think that too hard. And so it gives me the information that I need before I start my day or go. It gives me more time to kind of say, "Ooh, I can check that out and implement it if I have some project I'm doing." The data analytics and the security fraud protection create a so your strategy, right? Like, so as you're going through it, like, just write down what your goals are or what you're trying to accomplish, and that will give you your AI tool, right? Because then you can go to one of those AI tools and your goal, whatever it is, marketing to women with 3 or more children, I don't know, and put that on there, and it'll spit out these tools. Use these tools as they align more with whatever section you're trying to market to. Self-driving solutions, a lot of the stuff that you want to put on your back end should be automated, right? You don't want to have to worry about this. And this is the one that kills the employment of your tech crew. By all means, have a tech person, but if you know a little bit about it and the one IT person knows about it, that's all you're really going to need in the future. It's going to be so advanced, so plain English to speak into whatever it wants it to do. So what we do, so I have a solution that enables the onboarding of any of your systems, right? And it automatically checks. It learns your system in minutes. You can set in certain parameters and do stuff, but all this scary backend stuff is like what is going on in your backend. You just don't know it. How to locate things, what issues are coming up, when, where, why, and it shoots an automated alert saying, "Hey, MRI machine number 4 is not working. It has the old software system running a different patch. Would you like me to set that up now?" And you say yes, right? You don't have to type yes. You don't have to you say yes, do XYZ, and it'll say, "Okay, thank you." And it'll do it for you. And it'll say, "Hey, there's a couple of things going on here that you might want to check. Would you like me to change the IP addresses?" That way it enables the connectivity through your exterior outlets or other locations. That if you're a hub and you have a bunch of off-site locations, hey, your connectivity is going down because XYZ. In plain English, you can tell it, "Yeah, do this for me, please," or automatically fix any connectivity issues if you find them. And it'll run through and give you a report at the end of the day saying, "These are the issues that I found. This is what I fixed. There's a patch coming up. Should I alert Microsoft that they have a fault in one of their patches that doesn't work with the scanning machine for your SKU numbers?" I don't know, whatever. So it does that automatically for you.
So does this mean that IT companies will at some point be obsolete?
Yes, it does. And so there'll be some clear winners and providers of services, but a lot of it is going to be onboarded through a cloud service, and you'll no longer need the actual hardware. You'll no longer need any of the mechanisms that today we use to do the same event. We will be able to, in plain English, tell it what we want to do. I don't have connect. Why is my internet not working? Oh no. Jarvis, why am I not connected? Oh, your port number 3 has a defective cable. And so that is available right now, right? This is not a future tech. This is I can provide this solution to you today. And so imagine where we will be 5 years from now, right? Like it will be leaps and bounds of where we are currently. Pros and cons of software and hardware systems. But I know I went a little bit over time there. Kind of hard to kind of know where to end these things. I'm available to talk to anybody who wants to talk to me. Text me, email me, follow me on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to talk to you about anything you want. If I don't have the answer, I'll try to find you the answer. That's it in a nutshell.
I know it's a lot of information to take, to kind of absorb all at once. And, we want to thank you for your time. I know you'll be one of the panelists at the upcoming Business Expo in July, along with a couple of other subject matter experts to continue the conversation. I know we plan on having a follow-up webinar in the next couple of weeks. I just have to coordinate that with speakers, and we will share the information. But the chamber does bring a lot of value to a lot of our members and the community as a whole, and AI evolves every day. So thank you for your time. On that note, stay tuned. We will provide all information on our social media, LinkedIn, and by email. So we wish you a happy Friday, great weekend, and thank you for joining us.